So Mom was just kind of telling me a little bit about, she was going to a different place down the road, and what was the turn where they said don't come back? Did they say she's too old or fragile? Did they say anything like that said?
No, well, she said she would come and see how she's shaking.
Absolutely.
But she's shaking because she's wet.
Maybe, or nerves.
Yeah.
Or just anxiety, or because there's a lot of things going on here. Can't hardly see, kind of new area,
can't hear.
right?
Yeah.
All those
Too
little
well.
things, right?
And she'd go, oh, you poor baby, you know, and I felt like, you know, she's doing much better.
Right.
She got rid of a lot of the anxiety, it seemed, finally, from all the treatments she had.
Okay. And treatments for
the cancer.
Okay.
And so I thought, you know, she's doing so much better. And when I pick her up, she wouldn't be shaking or anything. You know, she would be just fine.
Okay.
So it was hard for me to understand why it was, right then. I only want to do a half job.
Okay, so like the last time you went to that facility, it was like, I can only do a half job on her today. So you didn't know, it just went from everything was great until boom, it was like, okay. And at that point, they didn't say don't come back, but you knew that you couldn't go, like you knew that she couldn't
Jerry knew that
job.
He didn't want to, but they charged for a full job.
Okay.
And
kept the dog how long? So a half job, and then how long was the dog? Say, let's just imagine her here, 20 dogs, kenneled, and she was there for how long in a kennel at her age, and you know what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah.
Giving that idea of like, it's not like an hour either. It's also very stressful.
A couple hours, yeah, because
at
they
minimum.
don't dry. Yeah, because they don't dry her with the dryer.
They do it with a cage dryer. Do you know?
They may have done it with a cage. She's pretty dry when they let her come
so she has to be dry. So their only way so I don't do cage drying. Do you know what a cage dryer is?
Well, I would say it would be better because it's not on her face.
Which part? The dryer I have, or a cage dryer is not on her face?
I thought that a cage dryer would not be on her face.
So a cage dryer is put on the front of the cage, and the dog is in there.
So it's all over.
Determining how that dog sits, lays, or how that kennel is set up. Like here, you could see in our kennels, which I have just 1, 2, and they go into 4 sections if needed. Yeah. But you can see they're through, right? You can see that, right. Some cages are stainless steel, which are awesome. They're at veterinarian clinics. I've got a lot here everywhere. They're at veterinarian clinics, but it's all the sides except for the front is a grate. And the front grate means you put a cage dryer on that. Where does the air go? It goes in and straight back out into the air, correct?
Yeah.
So then it's cycling through and hitting the dog's
lightly.
Face.
Oh, face. Yeah.
Face. Or if the dog is smart enough to sit in the back, like turn around and face towards the stainless steel.
Away from
it's still going to hit the wall and back in the face and out of the front of the cage. So it depends on their cage system. And then also, that's pretty stressful to me too. You know.
Yeah.
But anyways, you were telling the story of she battling cancer, you know, and for a long time, right? Yeah. It was, and had a 6-month lifespan, and now she's how old?
Well, actually, let's see. We got her in January of 2009, and when we adopted her, because she was rescued, they said she was 1.5 years. And the first veterinarian that saw her said more like 3.
Okay.
3 or 4. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because she had a pretty rough young life.
Right. Wow. And now she's how old?
Well, depends. Is she 3 or 4?
At her youngest age right now, she would be 13?
13,
yeah.
14.
Right.
Yeah.
So she lived a lot longer than everyone thought she would, right?
Well, she didn't really have cancer for a while. It was out in Davis at the Davis clinic.
Okay.
That they discovered
that's okay. You're okay.
that one of her anal glands, and the doctor thought he had gotten everything. And when we got to Arizona, it was determined that she was having difficulties. So with an x-ray and stuff, we were, they recommended that we find a radiologist with true beam equipment. And it would be the least invasive, because it's right on the tumors.
Mm-hmm.
And the Animal Diagnostic Clinic in Davis, wonderful, wonderful place. The radiologist there was great.
Right.
And then we gave her a little bit of chemo, and I think that it really, the thing that did the most good was the radiation. It's a slower process as it shrinks.
So you think the chemo was necessary then? Or would you have passed on it now looking back? You probably would have said, just do the radiation first thoroughly and see if you can just get it there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would have. Instead of, we went ahead for an added, and we didn't finish treatment. But she had some.
You didn't finish chemo.
Right.
Right. You finished
All of the radiation.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a good point that some
Yeah.
people might need to know.
Yeah.
Maybe finish the radiation treatment first and see where you need to be, and if you really need to go towards chemo, head that direction.
Yes,
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah.
I
yeah,
really
perfect.
do. And then the following year, when we took her back to Arizona again, that's when our vet out there did just a physical, because my husband and I agreed we weren't going to put her through anything else.
Right.
And on the physical, she thought, she did it twice. When she first saw her in January, and she says, before you go back in March, I can't remember how she felt.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so 2 months later, she thought that it had tightened slightly.
Okay.
And she was preparing us, saying, maybe 3 months.
Mhm.
And we brought her back to her this January, and she was so excited
Oh,
to
that's
see
great.
her.
That's great.
And we're looking forward to maybe being able to, it's still one day to us
Yeah,
at a time.
absolutely. Just one day at a time. And that's
Right,
how I would
but
do
if
it.
we can bring her back, she was a lot easier in the car
Mhm.
on this last trip.
Okay.
So some of that anxiety was finally leveling off,
Cool.
you know.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for finding me.
Well,
And how did you find me?
actually, it was a recommendation from Colleyville Clinic.
Okay. Collegeville Animal Hospital. Is
Yeah.
that right? Okay. I'll have to tell them thank you. I know them very well.
Do you?
Yeah, I do know them very well. I worked
Actually,
with
Dr.
some of them.
Wilson is the one that sees her here.
Cool.
And he knows, you know, that she gets seen when
Right.
she's in Arizona.
Very cool.
So we may, if things are going good, we'll get her teeth cleaned again in January.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And since I'll have to put her asleep, they'll have to sedate her for that.
Right.
We're gonna let them go ahead and take
Remove
this off
this.
again.
Mhm.
Yeah, she's had that surgery once.
Right.
This poor baby has been through a lot.
Absolutely.
She
All
gets
these
a
different
lot of
things.
love.
She's hanging in there.
Yeah,
She's really hanging in there.
she's a very strong-willed.
Right.
And we're very blessed.
How did your groom go today?
Very good.
Were you glad to be a part of it?
Yeah, I really was, because
I'm
I
grateful
could.
that you feel that way. Good.
Yeah, because what it did was it showed me what you go through.
Right. And
So
what she also goes through, because she's the main, thing here that we're doing. So
Yeah, she's
her heart, what her heart's doing, her breathing, all these things that we need to be aware of, all because of a haircut, right? That is needed. So
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm glad you were there. Are you happy?
Yes.
Yes.
Very
Great.
much. Very much so.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
All right, you guys, we're gonna let her go load up and then come on back. Hey, you guys, I just want to say thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for being a part of what I do and being here watching what I do. Today's groom was, whenever you have a blind animal or a going blind animal, the only way you are going to really truly understand what is going on with the pet is if you have owned one. And I could say that by rescuing Sally, who was a very old senior pet already. She was with me for 5 years and basically passed away about the age 21 years old. So I have a strong confidence in Chihuahuas, that's what she was, living a very long, healthy life, especially in my opinion, if they get a lot of sunlight. She was outside before I ever met her, outside a lot. She was picked up from River Oaks Animal Shelter, and a friend of mine who worked there at the time called me up and called a bunch of people up and said, hey, who can pick up some seniors? I've got about 5 senior Chihuahuas that need a retirement home. And I was like, yeah, I'll pick her up. You know, it ended up being a very hard rescue because as she got old, I picked her up as a senior and she was functioning just well. I remember she was hoppity hippity and happy, and really quickly she started losing her eyesight, and that really took a toll on her. And then because of losing her vision, and then hearing playing a role, losing her hearing, things like that. And I can't say she lost her hearing completely, but it just seemed to all kind of work together. And that story goes in lieu of another pet like this, you know, like a blind pet. As a pet is getting older and a pet does start going blind, you really have to look at a lot of things, and you now are really reading body language. And being that I just met this pet, it is a learning experience. It is all, everything is just, we got to watch what's going on. We have to, you know, maybe use the parent, maybe not. It all depends, right? Haley, she is a Papillon that I groom, blind. I haven't used the pet parent yet. It might come to that, but she just reacts differently on the table. She stands completely still. She cannot see a thing. She doesn't mind the cone head being on her. So there's a lot of difference in each pet, and you will just have to go with the flow. There's no right or wrong way to do it. I just feel like there's lines that you start to cross. So with her moving around so much, I feel like it's more unhealthy for the pet for me to not have a helper, and that helper shouldn't be a stranger. It should be the pet parent, in my opinion. So the way I run my business could be different than how you want to run your business, and that's okay. There's enough business in the world for all of us, and the way we want to run our business is our choice. This is how I run my business. I get the pet parent involved. Because at the end of the day, I think I would prefer someone to say, Dee Dee, can you step in and help me groom your dog because he is blind now and he is very hard to groom. I think I would appreciate that because of what I do. I don't know that everybody wants to participate or can participate. Some people in their senior years have told me, Dee Dee, I can't hold my dog. So what am I to do now? And then we look at different scenarios. It depends on the dog. I had a lady with a very aggressive German Shepherd, and she said, I don't have the strength to hold my dog. And I said, well, I don't know that we can help you then, because if you have a very aggressive German Shepherd that's a very large 125, 130 pound dog, I can't control the dog and groom the dog in a safe way. So we have to do something. And the best person for that job is going to be the pet parent, someone that dog knows. So today's grooming, I went ahead and in the beginning, I put the cone head on. And you know, I don't believe a lot of things because I've been through a lot of things. And sometimes I'm put in a position where I learn and I see that it didn't work. So the comfy cone works for me because it's one of the minimal things I can do to make sure that I don't get bit and I don't know a dog. So I put the comfy cone on because she was blind, but the dog did not like it at all since the moment I put it on. But I needed to press through because I'm not going to try to put a muzzle on. The muzzle's really small on this dog, so putting a muzzle on that dog, it would have done nothing for me, you know? So putting the cone head on means no muzzle on the body, no muzzle holding the mouth together, keeping it, you know, and all those things are gone now. So I felt like the comfy cone or a cone head would have been a good device to use in this scenario. Unfortunately, because of her blindness, it really made her panic, and she really wanted to just jump and take it off. So after the mom was called in, and we went through a few of the things that I wanted to do before I went ahead and took the comfy cone off, and you heard me say, I don't really believe this is going to work, but it did. So we saw the pet calm down a little bit more with the comfy cone off. However, I'm a groomer. I'm this dog's groomer today in this moment, and my judgment call was I wanted to keep safe. A lot of dogs that I groom that are blind do become biters, and they're reactive biters based off of your touch and your movement. So sometimes they're so fast you don't have reaction time, and so I don't want to get caught up in a situation where I get bit and I have to go to the hospital. So my judgment call, put that cone on, and it didn't harm the pet, but it probably didn't make the groom a lot easier. However, I don't suggest, like I said while we were grooming, that this dog be groomed by a single groomer ever. She moves around way too much and she's uneasy, and so you have a few things like the groom loop, you know, the area of grooming. Look, we're really close to the wall here, and that wasn't good enough for her. So to make sure we don't injure a pet during a groom, there's some things you can change to help the pet, but in this case it was best to get the pet parent involved, and I'm really glad I did. The pet parent kind of was like, okay, hopefully you won't need me, but I'm really glad when she stepped into the role of helping out, she was really there for the dog. You know, she's probably never done that before. She's never had a groomer ask her for help or want her to be involved. Most groomers don't do that. That's the difference between my business and other people's business. I want you to get involved. Not only the learning, the education that comes with that, but you getting to see exactly what your dog's going through and you being able to say, I agree, or I never knew that, or he or she is panting really hard. Maybe we should call it a day right now. I'm good. You got most everything done. You know, different things that you are going to make a judgment call when you have a senior pet. And even later if you have to experience a senior human being. We are able to make these calls with the pet parent there. And if the pet parent wants you to keep going, which we've seen that happen before, and in my mind I'm like, I really don't want to keep going, but this is not my dog. He wants me to keep going. I'll keep going until I finally say, no, that's enough. You know, I will try to do what the pet parent wants as long as I feel like we can get through it. So there's a lot going on. I really appreciate you guys watching, sharing this story. I hope this affected you. Please comment below if you own a pet that has disabilities, that has back injuries, or injuries that prevent the pet from being groomed completely normal, which means no help, you know, things like that. If you have a pet that's in the same situation, talk about it. It kind of helps to talk about you guys have going through the same things out there all across the world. So make sure you comment below. If you have a blind pet, kind of give any tips that you might have. This is a perfect place to talk about blind pets because look what we had today. And she really came around after the bath. She was really, really happy. So we did a 10 all over, which is a 10 blade using my Andis 5-speed. Then I blended in the legs so they wouldn't be too bony looking. However, you know, I kind of had to go 10-7, 10-7 because it was just really thick hair. I have her down as a mixed breed, and her name was Pumpkin. So thanks a lot. Make sure you share, smash the like button, and don't forget to shop at myfavoritegroomer.com and dogupstand.com. Support us if you love us. We are happy you're here to share our world with us, and thank you for being here, and thanks for all you do for us. Amen. See you later. Bye.